If day one of the Melbourne Test match was all about grinding it out, digging your heels in, then day two and the first session of day two has been pretty much the same. Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli have dug their heels in and have got runs because runs have come at a premium. Not very easy to get runs here, but in the meantime, Cheteshwar Pujara has reached his 17th Test century, and that, remember, is 7th overseas. So this year has been quite good for Pujara. He's already got 2 centuries on this tour. 62 runs is what India has added in that first session, day 2 of the Melbourne Test match. You're watching ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, brought to you by Maruti Suzuki. Joining me, the usual suspect in VVS Laxman, Brad Hodge. Brad, for you, what a contrasting match this one is turning out to be. Just a few hours ago, you were doing commentary on a BBL game where the ball was flying. Nathan Coulter-Nile, Behrendorff for making the ball talk. Now you have a situation where Stark's ball is literally not even reaching Tim Paine.
Well, it's different, isn't it? I mean, it's amazing that if you could probably pick up that Perth wicket we saw last night and put it in Melbourne, then I think it'd be a good result. It just seems like an awfully docile wicket and hard work for everyone. It's unfortunate that it's become such a grind out at the MCG.
All right, talking about the grind, Pujara must be really happy because we're talking about it not helping the bowlers, but the runs are also not easy to come by, yet he's got his 100. Must be really, really pleased with that.
Absolutely, and first credit to the Australian bowlers, because there's not much of help for the fast bowlers, even though the wicket has quickened up compared to yesterday. But I thought the first 6 to 7 overs, Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins were hostile. The ball was carrying to the wicket keeper, the ball was swinging. And I think the Indian batsmen were lucky to survive that period. But after that, the way both Pujara and Virat Kohli applied themselves, in particular Pujara, I mean, he looks at ease, and this is an ideal test match wicket for him.
Yeah.
Because, he's someone who doesn't really bother about what the plan of the opposition bowlers is, how the wicket is behaving. All he does is follow a template, whether he's playing in subcontinent, whether he's playing in overseas tours, on overseas wickets. I think there's a template. Watch the ball closely, play on the merit of the ball, and you'll score. You'll only score in the areas where he's comfortable. The other areas which is not comfortable, all he'll do is defend the ball. And that's why I think his strength has always been his concentration, and his application. Fantastic to see one more brilliant 100 from the number 3 batsman.
All right. Brad, just 4 months ago, India were in England, the first test match at Edgbaston. There was no place for Cheteshwar Pujara. Now, can you even think of the Indian test batting lineup without Pujara?
Not at all. I mean, he's been fantastic. I think one of the things which he had an opportunity to do, which VVS pointed out before or during the Adelaide Test, was that he had the opportunity to work on his game as a pure test batsman, and he's adjusted his game accordingly. We've seen him play square of the wicket a lot more this year in Australia, and he's just been outstanding, similar to the success that India had when Rahul Dravid had that fantastic series out here in Australia. Just wore the Australians down and dominated them, and just played, as VVS said, well within his compounds of what he knows, what he can and can't do. It's been a phenomenal performance from this player.
Right, let's quickly take a look at how Pujara has got those runs that he's got at the moment. Remember, his 17th Test century, and this is his 7th overseas Test 100. And as you'd expect with Pujara, you're getting a lot of run. We spoke about it yesterday as well. He loves to cut the ball. 27 runs he's got in the third man region. Today, though, what was impressive was the way he was batting against Nathan Lyon. Lyon looked dangerous at one point, but using his feet rather well.
Yeah, and that kind of footwork is showed right from the Adelaide Test match, because even before the start of this series, I'm sure Pujara must have worked out how he's going to counter Nathan Lyon's bowling. Because when Nathan Lyon came to India, he was very effective. He took wickets, and Pujara knows that the strength of Nathan Lyon is consistently bowling on that good length area, and that's why he's using his feet. But the good thing about Pujara, when he uses his feet, a lot of batsmen, when they use their feet against a spinner, it's almost premeditated. They step out even before the bowler releases the ball, which gives an opportunity for the bowler just to hold back and can change his strategy. But with Pujara, the moment the ball releases and the moment he sees the trajectory, and that's when he decides that he's going down the track, and that's why more often than not he reaches to the pitch of the ball and he's in total control, and it was fantastic to see him bat in that fashion. And it also shows his mindset, because in the past, sometimes against the spinners, against the fast bowler, Pujara would still score runs But against the spinners, he had a tendency of blocking a lot more deliveries. Whereas now, because he's using his feet a lot more, and it started against New Zealand, I think 2 years back in 2016 after the West Indies series in India, where he started using the feet to the spinners. Because of that, his strength has always been using the depth of the crease and playing shots of the back foot. He's also able to do that. So it's brilliant exhibition of footwork and game plan against a quality spinner.
Interesting you talk about him using the depth of the crease. It was very contrasting approach from Virat Kohli, where he's trying to bat really outside the crease, and then you have Pujara using the depth of the crease. We'll talk about that as well, but plenty of reactions coming in for those of you who are watching us on YouTube as well as Facebook. I'll take a question now that we've got from Facebook. This is on, of course, the star at the moment, Cheteshwar Pujara. Does Pujara not often get the credit that he deserves? Grinding the bowlers down, getting the ball old, also beneficial to the batsmen in the middle and lower order. I'll let Brad answer that.
Well, he will get the credit when he averages 50 above Test cricket. There's no doubt that he's a phenomenal player, and his concentration and ability to bat long periods of time allows what India will hopefully do post this lunch session and go out there and play with a good deal of freedom. They've got some serious stroke players in the shed and push towards a total which is going to lend them victory. But I don't think he'll be underestimated at all. I think what you'll find is that we're certainly in an era where we see the flamboyance of the youngsters of Rishabh Pant and Prateek Shaw that come and play with these exuberant styles, but we know that this works in Test cricket. So he'll be certainly remembered and understood to be an outstanding Test player long past this day.
Okay, Jiten just posted the question asking about this ability that Pujara has got to really spend time on the crease, make sure that the ball gets old. And here's a look at 2018, the calendar year, and how this will also illustrate that Pujara has been spending a lot of time on the crease. He plays a lot of balls, so does Virat Kohli. Now this is Indian batsman in 2018, and look at that, 23 innings. He's faced 2,407 balls, and this is actually across international teams. You've got Joe Root there, Kusal Mendis and Usman Khwaja, but the top two dominated by Virat Kohli and Cheteshwar Pujara. It's almost similar considering that he's played one less inning than Virat Kohli.
Yeah, it's almost similar, and also shows that Virat Kohli spent a lot of time on the wicket during the England series. Pujara got 100 at Southampton, but apart from that, I got just one half century. Virat spent a lot of time at the wicket. But I think you can't underestimate the effort of Pujara and the approach of Pujara, and that's a very valid question, because when someone like Pujara at number 3 occupies the crease, it demoralizes the opposition bowling lineup. It tires them out, and especially when you're playing international cricket, majority of the teams go with 4 genuine bowlers. So if 2 or 3 bowlers are feeling tired, the middle order and the lower middle order can invariably exploit their tiredness, which happened in the generation I was also playing. Rahul Dravid, very similar, occupying the crease, tiring the bowlers out, which helped Sachin, myself, Saurav to score runs at ease. So I think the nature of Pujara's batting is so important in Test match cricket, in the context of Test match cricket, and that's why he's a special player.
Could it be said that this is almost like a rebirth of Cheteshwar Pujara? It's the first time he's got 2 tons overseas in one particular series. And I put that question to Brad as well. Just 4 months ago, he was not even part of the Indian team when they started off that tour.
Yeah, but it also shows that it's very unfortunate that the quality player like Pujara missed out in the first test on that England series, and that's something which you don't expect. But having said that, this is a turnaround year for Pujara, because he himself would not be happy with his numbers in overseas conditions, on overseas tours, because someone averaging more than 62 in subcontinent condition and less than 40 in overseas conditions, I think there's a contrast, and a huge contrast for that matter, and he's much better than that. And I think you have to give credit to Pujara, because he didn't get picked for the IPL, but how does he use his time? So constructively he goes and plays for Yorkshire, and when you're playing in Yorkshire, when you're playing in county cricket, and when especially up north in England, the conditions are very challenging, and as a batsman you evolve. Doesn't matter how experienced you are, doesn't matter how many matches you play in Test match cricket, but with each and every match when you're playing in county cricket, you evolve as a batsman, you know more as a batsman, and that's something which is now reflecting in his game, and that's showing in his performances on overseas tours.
Okay, I'll go across and just change the track a little bit. Let's talk about Tim Paine right now. VVS was of the opinion that the Australian bowlers did rather well in that first half. We'll talk about Tim Paine's captaincy. Did you also see it that way, that he came up with some fresh plans? We saw that short third slip there, also a very short point, almost got the wicket of Virat Kohli. So fresh ideas being applied by Tim Paine?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would have been talked about post-play yesterday, where limited opportunities were always going to come about, and especially with the Australian bowling unit actually bowling really well. I mean, they haven't given any room or width outside the off stump. They've been attacking a corridor pretty hard, and that would have been talked about how they're going to create opportunities with only a couple yesterday. So I like that idea. I like the thought process of trying to just do something a little bit different. And, runs at this stage probably, the slow nature of the scoring rate, 1 or 2 boundaries is not going to cost the Australian team too much. What they want to do now is to try and contain runs and contain time as well within this test match. And if they can manage to pull off a few, pretty cool setup moves with some short covers with the slowness of the wicket, some wideish slips, different fields, I think that's a good idea for Tim Paine to explore.
Oh yeah, almost got it, with those setups as you're talking, that one catch just going past, I think Aaron Finch, it was towards his right when he was short third slip, and then they had that silly mid-off also come in at one point. So interesting field set there by Tim Paine. But Brad was making a point that the line also from Australian bowlers is slightly different, something that VVS also mentioned right at the start of the show. Let's take a look at that, and if it is really happening, that outside of VVS, now you can see there's an increase there. Day 1 41%, and then 54 on day 2, I think something they've worked on. Would you say?
And especially when they're bowling to Virat Kohli, because they know that anything into Virat Kohli's body is very strong, and on this wicket is looking forward to playing more number of deliveries. So it's not only a defensive approach, but it's also an attacking approach to Virat Kohli. And you saw Virat Kohli almost trying to reach out for the ball, trying to feel the bat onto the ball, and a couple of times you felt that he almost got out. So I think it's a attacking move from Tim Paine and Australian bowlers. But having said that, they have to mix and match. Because on this wicket, if you're just bowling outside the off stump, then yes, you're restricting the run flow, but you're also not probably now going to take a wicket, because the ball is getting hold. It's fine when the ball is new and your edges can carry to the slips, but as the ball gets old, I think attacking the stumps will be a lot more better option than probably just making the ball dart away from the right-hander.
Credit to Virat, we're talking about that chance. After that thing, he edged and it was very close to Aaron Finch. After that, he ensured that he was leaving the balls.
Yes, and I still feel that Virat is not comfortable there. I still feel that he wants to hit the ball, because that's the nature of Virat's batting. He's someone who's very aggressive. He loves the ball coming onto the bat, so he enjoys batting on a wicket like at Perth than probably what he's getting at MCG. So as a batsman who's attacking in nature, who's positive in his footwork, and is always looking to score boundaries, I think this is something which he has to restrain, and control his instincts, because sometimes as an attacking batsman, without even knowing, the bat can go away from the body because you want to hit the ball towards the cover region for a boundary. But I think the control he showed after the first 6 overs was much better, because the first 6 overs you just felt that he was wanting to go and hit boundaries.
Yeah, plenty of questions coming in. I'll try take some of those. We've got one on Virat Kohli. Let's take that question since we're talking about the man. Keshav Kumar wants to know that on drive from Virat Kohli of Hazelwood reminded me of the great Sachin Tendulkar. What do you think, Laxman?
Yeah, the position he gets into, and Sachin also the angle of the bat, very, very similar. And I think majority of the Indian batsmen play that shot well. Majority of the Indian batsmen, because they're very wristy by nature, I think that's the shot which they play well. But what I really like is he's not playing square of the wicket. He's still looking to hit the ball between mid-on and the bowler, which is a high percentage shot. And I think just the angle and the position of the bat reminds me the way Sachin used to play the on drive.
The only difference could be Sachin was leading leg would come a little straight, whereas Virat goes a bit across.
Yeah, again, that's the way Virat always plants his left leg little across compared to what Sachin would be. Sachin would be more towards the umpire, where the left leg will be open and pointing towards the umpire, whereas Virat's left leg will always be pointing towards extra cover mid-off.
Just taking on from the point that VVS made, Brad, if I was to use the word flawless, I think the only batsman I could use it to was Virat Kohli. But if there was that chink in his armour, would you say, as VVS was saying, that he likes to just play the ball, and that chink could be that right outside the off stump, which Australia was trying to exploit today?
Yeah, probably the only chink in which they've probably found in his armoury what they can exploit, and it brings me back to a memory of Sachin Tendulkar, where it was a similar ploy by the Australians a long time ago, where he just got out to a few balls nicking, playing that cover drive, and he went to Sydney and he didn't actually play a cover drive for the whole Sydney Test. He said, right, I'm just going to let the bowling come to me. He ended up getting 200, I think, from memory, or he scored a big ton. And that's something which Virat is certainly, I reckon, fighting himself with, and a good memory to call upon. But two outstanding players and glorious drivers of the ball.
All right, what an incredible inning that was by Sachin Tendulkar. Got a double 100, not playing anywhere in the cover region, ensuring that he got his runs just on the onside. Okay, we're getting more questions now. This one we're getting from YouTube. Let's see that one. Varun Gupta. What Australia can do from here to save the game? Okay, Brad, let me put that question to you. I think Indian fans are already expecting that, this is a situation where Australia will have to be chasing the game throughout.
Yeah, well, they are chasing the game, but I think what they're doing is taking good time out of the game now. I think, 260, lunchtime on day two is a good result for Australia. If India are up around 400, I think they'll be in all sorts of trouble. But, they're going to have to bat to tee, bat well past tee if they don't get enough runs in this session. And that's going to take time out of the game. And it looks like a wicket where it's going to be tough to take 20 wickets. And if Australia are able to do that and bat well in their first session, then, they can certainly survive this match. If not, India might have to force their hand second innings like they did in Adelaide, where they went a little bit too hard and presented an opportunity for Australia. So I think Australia are doing exactly what they can on this wicket, and just being patient and just working as hard as they possibly can, and let India force the issue with their bat.
Okay, we've got another question. This is from Facebook for VVS Laxman. Let's take that question. But essentially, I'm just reading a lot of comments, and fans are rather happy with the performance of the Indian team. Some, though, questioning why they're batting so slowly. Arun wants to know, should Rishabh Pant be promoted up the order if a wicket falls now?
I think it's not necessary. And just to continue and follow up from what Brad Hodge was telling, is that for India post-lunch, I think it's not important for them to change the gear as early as now, because it's important for them to get to 375, and then probably after tea, they can always change their plan. But with Ajinkya Rahane, the kind of form he's in, and even Rohit Sharma, someone who is so good at accelerating, and we have seen that in white ball cricket, I don't think it's important now to get Rishabh Pant out there early. But I think it's very important that Pujara and Virat Kohli continue this partnership and take India to 350, and then India can think how to accelerate and when to declare. Okay. But I think the first innings will be very crucial, because as the match progresses, I think the opportunity of taking wickets will be much easier than what you're seeing at the moment.
I think that question came because the general sentiment, I'm taking a look at all the comments, is that Indian fans would expect the Indian batsmen to get runs quicker. I mean, if we've got Abhi here commenting on YouTube, asking in fact that why are the Indian batsmen being so circumspect here?
I think they're not circumspect. Again, I started off by saying that you have to give credit to the Australian bowlers, because on this wicket, on a wicket where there is not enough pace, you can't hit through the line. You can't even play on the right shots, and it's not a high percentage shot. And the discipline with which the Australians have bowled, and also the line which we discussed before was much wide outside the off stump compared to yesterday. It's almost a ploy from Australia to test the patience of the Indian batsmen, and that's a way of getting a wicket on this kind of pitch. So Virat Kohli and Cheteshwar Pujara are mindful of that game plan from Australia and Tim Paine, and they're also watchful at the same time, and they're playing on the merit of the ball. Not once did we see that wherever the opportunity arose for them to score runs, they didn't take it. using the opportunities. But I think credit to the Australian bowlers that they've shown a lot of discipline.
Okay, talking about game plan, Brad, we were looking at how Tim Paine has come with particular settings, some setups. The other thing we've noticed yesterday when, day one of the test match, I think it took just 15 minutes for him to remove the slips. Today, for the entire session, he's been aggressive as a skipper.
He has been aggressive, and I guess he felt that he needed to take the wickets of Pujara and Virat to try and get an inroads into this Indian batting lineup. But it's very difficult. They've tried hard. They've provided opportunities to take wickets, but just unfortunately, the nature of the wicket and also the skill of the Indian batting has been outstanding. I thought the bowlers have toiled hard. They've worked hard. They've given an opportunity for their skipper to. They bowled 115 overs and the score was only 260 runs. So, you can't ask for any more effort than that from a fast bowling unit and also Nathan Lyon. So that's what you can do when conditions don't suit your fast bowling attack. You just got to work hard and grind just as much as the batting's been a grind. So, good credit to the Australian bowlers. I think they've been fantastic so far.
Okay, reading your comments, please keep them coming. We've got another question now, and I'll throw that question to VVS Laxman. This is from Facebook. Rohan Shukla wants to know, sensible batting by India in this session. Do you think India should look to accelerate now that they have not enough time to take those 20 Australian wickets?
Yeah, I think probably 1 hour after lunch, get to around 350, and then that's when I think Virat Kohli also will cross his 100. And both Pujara and Virat Kohli will look to accelerate. The way to accelerate is not playing flamboyant shots, but how can they use the crease? That the game plan of the Australian bowlers is to bowl wide outside the off stump. Someone like Virat Kohli or Pujara now can stand on the middle and off stump guard. And that's when you almost force the Australian bowlers to change their plan. And other bowler which they can really put pressure is Nathan Lyon. Because the fast bowlers are not giving anything easy. Can they go and play more aggressively against Nathan Lyon? But all that after they reach 350.
Right, so keep 350 in mind. Okay, got another question now from one of the viewers on Facebook, and Rohan again wants to know, is Kohli-Pujara pair one of the best overseas batting pair for India?
Yeah, Kohli definitely. Yeah, Pujara this year. Because
getting there.
Yeah, in the past, Pujara hasn't fulfilled his potential on overseas tours, but this year at number 3, we've seen the record has been exceptional. And when you're number 3 and number 4 are quality players with a lot of experience and also have got the technique and the mindset to counter the challenging conditions or the challenging situations which the team may be in, I think the team will always benefit, and it's brilliant to see them complementing each other without influencing each other's batting style. Both are so different but so effective.
Okay, just looking at from the Australian perspective, Brad, Nathan Lyon, I know he's not got a wicket to show for his efforts up until now in this test match, but he'd be happy with the turn that he's finally getting on day 2?
Well, I think he'll be happy with his performance. And I guess for someone that's been outstanding in the first 2 tests, it's interesting to watch him see him bowl on this wicket. But he hasn't got anything out of it. It's more or less been little spin. But Melbourne generally doesn't turn that much with this drop in wicket. More the bounce, I think, which he hasn't extracted from this picked wicket in terms of the 2 particular wickets before that. But I think the 2 guys, well, especially Pujara, has probably been the one which has played Nathan Lyon the best throughout this test series. So it's not surprising that he hasn't made any inroads while Pujara is still at the crease. And Virat obviously has had his trouble with him in the past, and he's fighting those demons and played accordingly. But I think it's time for these 2 to really put Nathan Lyon under pressure, given the fact that there's not a lot of turn and bounce, and Indians are such good players of spin.
Talking about spin, Naveen K on YouTube, he wants to know, why aren't Indian batsmen trying and sweeping the ball against Nathan Lyon? I think the simple answer would be they haven't needed to do it so far.
No, I think it's also the batting style of both Pujara and Virat Kohli. Not only against Nathan Lyon, but both of them don't play the sweep shot. They like to use the feet, they like to use the depth of the crease, and both of them are wristy. And they're not someone who play the sweep regularly. So I think it's not only against Nathan Lyon. Both of their styles are such that they don't execute the sweep shot well.
Okay, another question. Is there any demons in the pitch that even Virat is scoring at such a slow pace, is what Ink wants to know?
Yeah, there's no demons on the wicket, but the wicket is very, very slow. You know, and again, reiterating what I told before, is Virat is that kind of a batsman who likes pace of the wicket. And unfortunately, this wicket is not offering that pace to the fast bowlers, and that's why he's literally fighting with himself. He's not actually fighting or competing with the opposition bowlers. He's competing with himself. He's fighting within himself, and is trying to restrain his natural instincts, which is to go towards the ball, it through the line, use the pace of the ball. Unfortunately, there's no pace on this wicket at all.
Okay, I'm reading all your questions on Facebook and YouTube. I can't take the names of everyone that's asked this particular question, but because so many of you have asked, I'll put this to VVS Laxman, and I think this is more to do with the way the pitch is behaving. I got 4 people asking why not Kuldeep Yadav on this particular track.
Yeah, I think that in hindsight, maybe India should have gone with 2 spinners. But having said that, I think India has got 3 quality fast bowlers, who can exploit the conditions. Just like the way the Australian fast bowlers has done that. As the match progresses, I'm sure that the wicket will have uneven bounce, which the Indian fast bowlers who are in good form can exploit. I mean, in hindsight, probably they might think that India could have gone with 5 bowlers, keeping in mind the slowness of the track. But coming into this Test match, the weak link of the Indian side has been their batting. The batting hasn't been performing as well as they would have liked. So that's why they've gone with 6 specialist batsmen.
Okay, since you talk about India should have played 2 spinners, there's one man smiling, sitting probably in Melbourne, Australia right now. His name is Dean Jones.
Good friend of Brad Hodge.
Good friend. He does watch our show. In fact, he had a message for Brad right after that show. He sent me that message. Probably I'll share it with Brad after the show is over. Okay, now on to this special segment that we call Fab Four, where we ask our experts to pick the 4 players that they think would be doing well on a particular day. Just let's run you through the rules once again. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, this is each run by a player gets them 1 point, 50 runs gets you a 10-point bonus, 100 runs get 20-point bonus. Each wicket also gets you 20 points, 3-wicket haul, 10, 5-wicket haul, 20 points. Remember, best strike rate for the day by a bowler gets you 20 points. I remember Brad, I think, got it yesterday for Pat Cummins. Each catch, direct hit, run out gets you 10, or joint effort catch or run out gets you 5 points. Points a player earns is for that particular day only. Experts playing the game will earn points every day of the test, and the one with the most points at the end of the test is the winner. Okay, as far as I can remember, at the end of day 1, it was Brad Hodge who was leading, but by a slight margin. Okay, VVS, I'll come to you first. Your 4 picks for day 2.
I had Pujara, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma and Pat Cummins.
Okay, so let's just see how he's done right now.
You're testing my memory.
57 points. 57 points. Okay, that is got by Cheteshwar Pujara is the one who's getting you points. He may get you some more
and
points.
Virat Kohli.
And Virat Kohli, yeah, and both of them are on the crease at the moment. Okay, I remember Brad had Pujara on day 1. Did he have him on day 2?
Yes, he did.
He did. Okay, he's also got him 35 points. Oh, I remember he picked up Virat Kohli and then dropped him.
Yes.
He may not be very happy with that decision. Brad, are you?
No, it wasn't. As was Dino. The message that I got was probably the same as yours. But no, I thought that Ajinkya Rahane did well for me in the Adelaide Test, so I thought, well, fair enough, I'll have to back him again.
Okay, let's quickly take a look at the leaderboard. Has it changed? Brad was leading, but now, thanks to Virat Kohli, I'd say, he's the differentiator between the two of you. 182 points to 173 to Brad Hodge. But very, very close. It's been, up and down for VVS Laxman. Didn't have a great time in that first session of day 1, but then caught up slowly as the day progressed. As I said, he usually tends to get his runs in the last session. He did. Okay, this time it's had a great start in the first session, leading with Brad Hodge. But as I said, by a very, very narrow margin. Thanks so much for joining us, VVS Laxman. Brad Hodge, you were watching ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, brought to you by Maruti Suzuki.